It's Saturday, January 14th, 2023. It's the Bill King Show on a lovely afternoon. Welcome in. Welcome in, Jessica Bellamy.
Welcome. Did you get past, the spooky ooky Friday the 13th?
I gave it no thought whatsoever. Should I have thought about this?
You know what? The fact that you didn't, I guess nothing happened, so you're good. You're good. Every once in a while,
Yeah.
I'll think about that, and then I'll carry a little stone with me or something, like some citrine.
Are you serious?
Yeah, actually,
Are you
I have a
superstitious?
stone in my pocket.
Really?
Yeah, it's a special stone.
What about
It's
cats,
beautiful and green.
black cat like that?
You know what? I don't find
Yeah.
cats as omens because I'm a cat lady.
Right.
So for me, they're just it's all about good luck and coziness and all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
if I see a black cat, I'm going to be like, come here, kitty. That's
I'm a
me.
dog man.
Yes, you are.
Dog man, right?
Yeah, little Sammy.
Yeah, little Sammy. Sammy's sleeping right now, which he does most days.
Yeah.
Until he just gets fed. So how was your week?
My week was fantastic, Bill. Fantastic. And, I caught the highlights of the Golden Globes.
You didn't spend any time or just the highlights?
Just the highlights, because
Okay.
at one point, I would be all about the Golden Globes, the Grammys, the Academy Awards. But now, I don't have the patience
To sit there for 9
to
hours.
sit there. No.
No.
They're thanking all these people. I don't know any of these people.
If we get in this conversation, we're going to have it out with Gloria later. So what's your take on what you saw?
Okay. Super, super congrats to Julia Garner, who played Ruth.
Ozark?
She won, from
Yes.
Ozark. She won Best Supporting Actress. Oh, she deserves all of that.
It's a tough role.
That was a tough role. She played the hell out of it. I don't think anyone else could have done what she did with that character. Another cute bit was Quinta Bronson. She was in Abbott Elementary.
Now, have you watched that series at all?
No, I haven't. I know it exists. I haven't had a chance to watch it.
It is incredibly popular.
I know. I saw that. I was like, maybe I'll get into it. Maybe a little binge. But I liked her when she was giving her speech. And I'm like, girl, I'm the same exact way. If I saw Brad Pitt looking at me, I'd be like, hey, Brad, I would react the same exact way. Yeah. That was really cute. And then I did watch a bit of Eddie Murphy's speech.
What do you think?
His acceptance speech. I don't know. It was a little flat to me, his speech. But
Was it short? It was short, wasn't it?
It was super short.
This is the Cecil B. DeMille Award, right?
Yeah, I don't think they
Lifetime
gave...
Achievement.
Exactly.
And they usually spend some time.
Exactly. I think Jennifer Coolidge got more time on her
she took
her
the time.
speech. Yeah, because I watched a bit of her speech because I followed her career too. It's unfortunately, Eddie Murphy. I don't feel like he got enough time.
But that was by choice.
It seemed like it.
Yeah.
It did seem like it. I think it was just, okay, thank you to the people I need to thank. And then here's my funny little quip at the end, which was great. The top 3 things that anyone starting off in show business need to remember. Number 1 is pay taxes.
Right.
Number 2, mind your business. And then number 3 is to keep Jada Pinkett Smith's name out of your mouth.
Now, what's his name? The comic with Carmichael, Master of Ceremonies. He tried a Will Smith joke and it just landed flat. Yeah. You need Eddie Murphy to do that.
It takes a subtle hand to do a joke like that.
I took Jesse when he was 7 or 8 years old to see Delirious.
Oh, you didn't.
I wasn't expecting that.
You didn't.
With
know.
Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
He loved it. Oh, he just kept reciting the whole thing to me constantly. And I went, let me close my ears. I don't believe I'm hearing what I'm hearing.
Oh, believe me, I did watch it at a young age,
Yes.
probably when I wasn't supposed to because the adults were watching it. And then I was able to sneak in and see what all the hilarity was about. That's an iconic performance.
It sort of came out of nowhere because you had all the other great comics were still around, the legendary comics, the Richard Pryor and those, and they had a certain style of comedy. Mm-hmm. But his was just going from Saturday Night Live to saying, okay, these are the characters I've created, some of them there, but I'm going to let loose and say what I want to say.
Yeah.
It was really a moment.
Yeah, you wouldn't have known that that was who Eddie Murphy is. Just incredibly, like, just raw and with abandon. And people ate it up, too. They laughed, they cringed, but, like, they ate it up. And I think Richard Pryor, when he was raw in that way, it was a different type of style. Like,
well, the topics were different. I mean, I still remember Eddie Murphy doing James Brown, the hot tub.
Yes.
Hot tub dance. Hot tubs on Saturday Night Live. You can't get past that. I mean, there were moments in history like Dave Chappelle and them doing, Charlie Murphy doing the Rick James slap in the bar. I mean, these are classics. Or playing basketball with Prince, right? These are moments that remind you. And with Richard Pryor, it was the wino in the box on the street. You know? Yes. So, I mean, there were things like that you remembered. So what else is up here?
Ooh, what else is up? You know what? We do have a giveaway.
What are we giving away today?
We are giving away
the station?
Giving away the station for the low price of insert amount here. Well, our good friends at Roy Thompson Hall, they have given us a pair of tickets to give away on the Bill King Show. I'll tell you more about this. So it's Dr. Brian Greene, Beyond the Stars. And this is Thursday, January 26th at 8 p.m. And so from the Big Bang to the end of time, Dr. Brian Greene takes everyone on a multimedia journey across the cosmos. He's a physicist, a best-selling author. He utilizes immersive visuals, and he has a great knack for making difficult concepts easy to understand. He'll guide us through the formation of the stars and black holes and the development of life, the mind, and the emergence of the human quest to find coherence and meaning, all within the evolving universe governed by mathematical laws, and all wrapped up in an entertaining, fascinating, and accessible evening. How's that sound?
You did that without a teleprompter.
I did it without it. I just remembered all of that copy.
Yes, you do. That is quite the gift. Well, we have to thank Roy Thompson Hall for that.
We do. And you know what?
So how do we do this?
Just email jessica@ciut.fm, and the very first person to email and say like Dr. Brian Greene tickets, that person will get the pair of tickets.
So it's Jessica
at ciut.fm.
Fantastic. So we're going to come back a little later, and we'll continue talking.
Yes.
Jessica, my first step before Gloria and Mark, I step back in time, right? Mm-hmm. They're like family now.
Yeah, nice.
You know? I met them on the streets of New York in Greenwich Village, 1967 or so. I get to bring that up in our conversation, but it's Luke Gibson and Michael McKenna. Great guitarist, great singer. They had Luke and the Apostles.
Oh, okay, nice.
And they were really popular back in the 60s and into the 70s, right? They were part of this whole Yorkville scene and the Canadian music scene. And to this day, people still reminisce and still talk about, well, I saw the group. If I took a picture of the two and put it up on Facebook, and people were saying, oh, I remember them from high school. Now, if you're still around and remember these guys from high school, you know, I know how old you are.
You're giving away your age.
You're giving away your age. Anyway, this is that great conversation with Luke Gibson, Mike McKenna, it's Bill King, Jessica Bellamy. We're here at CIUT 89.5 on The Bill King Show.
Standing here beside you, I can really feel all your love you have.
how this happened, but Mike McKenna and Luke Gibson are in the house.
Yeah, we're here. Where's the food?
It's a food. You're going to have to hunt that down yourself. You should have showed up, with some takeout.
That's what I meant, was takeout before. You didn't get the hint, Bill.
I know, Bill. I didn't. I figured at your age you didn't eat anymore.
No, it's just...
and I don't do interviews, right? So.
At my weight.
So anyway, you come up with the Black Swan. This is sort of a place you hang out. Get back together, tell stories, play music, bring a couple amps in.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're doing basically the history of Luke and I's association together in the Apostles, prior to the Apostles and, after the Apostles. So, because we both went in different directions and had different adventures and musical adventures. And we do this as a situation in a story, and we play music too. We just the two of us doing it as a duo. And it sounds great, and we're really having a good time with it.
Now, this is stepping back in time and telling the early stories of Yorkville. And
yeah, and we'll be playing songs from various parts of time, and we go, well, here's this song, and here's the story associated with a song, and then play the song. And
it's basically interactive too. So we take questions from the audience, and we'll make them aware of it. And Jay Moonah, who is our moderator and bass player, is going to be playing with us. And it's really interactive. Like we want to. When I've done gigs before, it's a funny thing with the history. I've done gigs with Mike Daly at Castro's and other places, and I've actually had people talking to me and say, Mike, what about this? What about that? What's Luke doing? What's Joe doing? And I just thought, well, why don't we put a show together? Because our history is pretty good. And actually make a show of it and talk about our history and make us feel better because we're getting it out of our system. So
because you remember the history, huh?
The first one we did was at a record store in Islington Village called Vinyl Village, and the place was jam full of people, maybe only 45. It's a small record store. We were up against our backs against the window with our amps, and it went so well that's why we decided to continue with it.
It's great. And the people are, to begin with, they want to ask the questions, but now you're going to say, okay, the door's open, bring your albums, we'll sign them, bring your questions, and we'll answer them the best we can.
Ask us to do songs, and we would say, we don't remember that one, but...
Yeah.
That's always good.
Now, how about this one?
Now, I've mentioned to you, Mike, that we were all in Greenwich Village at the same time.
Yeah.
And you're playing I think the Cafe Go-Go.
Yes.
That was, yes.
Okay. I'm standing out in front of the Cafe Go-Go or something like that, and I met you guys. Right. I met you guys on the street. And this is when I first met you, and I met Michael. I think Michael Fonfero.
With the Checkmates, I think.
Okay, so I met him out there.
Yeah, they were playing in town. They were playing at Steve Paul's Scene, I think.
That's right. And then there was also, at another time, it was Adam Mitchell and the Pumpers. I caught their gigs when they auditioned for Verve Records at the Go-Go. Yeah. And it was a great time.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was the best.
We did our gig at the Go-Go, and I guess we were there, 6 weeks or something?
Yeah, well, that was with the Grateful Dead.
And it was with one artist after another, but the main thing was with the Dead and Grateful Dead, and we had great adventures with them and enjoyed the time with them. And it was really, really weird to be like they were just young guys like us. They were coming from California, we were coming from Toronto, and it was like here we are playing with these guys, and the American thing and the big California thing going on and all that. It was huge.
Yeah, it was their first time in New York, too.
Yeah, first time in New York. And they were just like regular guys, like everybody puts them up on a pedestal. And we were also lucky to know fortunate that Frank Zappa was part of the Garrick Theater's part of the Go-Go.
That's right. Yeah. That's where he was.
Yeah, and he was upstairs with him.
And the Fugs. The Fugs, too.
The Fugs.
The Fugs would be there. And I was across the street playing piano.
Wow.
At Louis Jordan's, the piano bar. Right by the Bitter End was a downstairs with piano and a grand piano and sawdust on the floor.
Yeah. The Tin Angel? Do you remember the Tin Angel?
The Tin Angel was upstairs.
Drink.
Yeah.
Oh, that's, yeah.
So that was the corner.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so as I'd be playing piano, Donovan would walk in,
Yeah.
or Randy Brecker, be on a break from the Cafe Go-Go or the other clubs, would come in for a beer.
Yeah.
Just for a moment, and then go back into the club, or Stevie Winwood.
Oh, yeah.
So it was that corner where all that activity was. When you went around a corner, you just kind of got into the folkies and some of the other, dining kind of situations.
Yeah. It was just a major hub,
It was.
of
was
music.
alive.
And we were just came from Toronto and Scarborough and whatever. And we're down there, and it's just this amazing amount of music and these people. And, we're in the dressing room with Zappa and Garcia and the Butterfield Band guys and
Richie Havens.
We're sitting there with these guys, and it was amazing, just amazing.
And Richie Havens was doing the Joe Cocker thing. What was the Beatles song?
The Sun. Here Comes the Sun or something.
Yeah,
Here Comes the Sun.
Yes, but with a little help from my friends, too.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
So he sort of had this mixed repertoire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh yeah.
He was kind of like
He was great.
Yeah, he was great. He played all in open tunings and stuff, and used his thumb, and he had huge hands as well, right? And,
Monster
he was
hands.
phenomenal.
But they were so nice to us, and we met Butterfield and the guys, and Alvin Bishop and I got to talk a lot, and he was asking me about finger picks, why I use finger picks, and I'd shoot questions back to him about his 335, and it was just amazing. And talking with Frank Zappa, we didn't have the knowledge of who Frank was at the time as much as we have now. But this guy, his presence was just felt in the dressing room anyway, Yeah.
So, well, all the mothers. We used to go upstairs because we'd alternate sets.
Yeah.
We'd go up and watch them. They'd come down and watch us. Sometimes in the afternoons, we'd watch them rehearse. Sometimes we'd go for a beer with Jimmy Carl Black and Roy. And
watch them rehearse. That was great. Zappa directing everybody
and working hard.
Oh yeah,
very hard.
They were
no
doing 8-hour days.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just memorize, because he made you memorize the music too.
Oh yeah, he was a taskmaster, and he really made them work. But it was just so cool, just to be. You were part of that. What the whole vibe was.
Well, something at the bitter end. At the same time, it was my first chance to see Joni Mitchell.
Yeah,
because she played there when they sort of introduced her. Neil Diamond, and you would walk by and you see and you go, who is this person? Because you didn't know who they were.
No, they were still relatively new people on the scene. Now, today you hear those names and they're icons.
They've already had hit records. They've already had a career. On the other side of it. But at that time, I went at the Anderson Theater. Used to have Tuesday nights the dollar night, and you never knew who was going to be there for $1. So Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, wow.
But this is the beginning. It's Blood, Sweat, and Tears as a quartet.
Really?
Before David Clayton Thomas.
Yeah.
So it's Al Cooper.
Al Cooper.
It's with Al Cooper. Yeah.
That was the kind of
he was
thing.
my favorite anyhow. I liked Cooper.
I did too.
I love Thomas, but I love Cooper's album, the first album.
Well, you're going to love Cooper because he played organ on Like a Rolling Stone.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's a great story to it. So, there's all these sort of things that overlap between those who were in the Village and the music scene. Yeah.
It was just incredible,
Now, you were all working on a deal with Elektra Records, was it?
No, that was... The Elektra thing was in 1965.
Oh, that's even earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when we were at the Agogo, we had a deal with, pending with MGM.
Okay, MGM.
Yeah. And Rick Shorter was going to produce us. We did some demos with him.
That's Wayne Shorter's brother.
Yeah, it is, yeah. But we didn't get on with him all that well.
But he's the one that signed the Poppers, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I think we had a rehearsal with Rick.
What about that first night at the Go-Go?
Yeah. Well, the first night at the Go-Go, after the set, I remember Richie Havens came blasting into the dressing room. He was beside himself. He couldn't believe what we were doing, because we were doing, Temptation songs, and as he's going, yeah, well, how do you guys, why you guys are doing that? He loved us, and at any rate, the same night, Felix Pappalardi had seen us, and he had just come off doing the Youngbloods. Come On People Now.
Yeah.
Right, together, that one, yeah.
Right.
And he said he wanted to produce us, but he didn't say it to us. He said it to our manager at the time, right? Who never told us about Felix, because he was making a side deal with Rick Shorter at the time. So it's kind of how we ended up with Rick instead of Felix. And we had a rehearsal with Rick, and the first thing he wanted us to do was one of his songs.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's how it's done.
That's how they did it, right? We didn't like the song.
I think it was Yummy, Yummy,
really
Yummy in my tummy.
Oh, yeah, of course, you were going that way.
It was like, we hate this. We didn't get off to a great start there. Yeah.
It was weird, very weird.
Yeah, but it was going to carry on. We did some demos with Rick, and MGM was going to sign us and all that, but we had, in the meantime, decided to split up.
Which is always good for the future.
Oh, huge.
Yeah, it was idea. Yeah, we're going to have a record deal. Oh no, let's split up instead.
Yeah, well, that's the norm.
Yeah.
Well, we had like a year at the El Patio. We had a year at the Purple Onion, and then a couple of years at the Boris's, and we were in New York, and our Paul Rothschild comes all the way up here, phones Jack Holtzman and says, listen to these guys, and I'm going to sign them to a deal. Flies us down to New York. We do the Being Burnt and Don't Know Why.
That was 65.
Yeah, and then he gets busted and goes to prison for a year for a joint or something, and then we're, okay, that's a big bummer. That really, because we were all so high on it that we thought this is going to be good. Yeah. Then we go down to New York and we go through all that, and then by that time, I think everybody was just kind of like, you got touchy nerves, and other people were looking at Luke. I mean, Luke's voice was phenomenal, mm-hmm. and the whole vibe that we were presenting, kind of like it was starting to fall apart. I think everybody wanted to go in different directions, but we've been doing it like at the Village for 4 years already, 5 years, and it was just, sometimes till 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're just kids. So it's like nobody really sat down and said, hey, pull your act together. We've got this going on. This manager Luke mentioned, this
called
guy,
good management,
and it basically, he didn't tell us about some situations, and
but that was always the thing, because if the bands could stay together and they had an image and they had their music, they could move forward.
Yes.
And it was difficult convincing the band because everybody was an individual.
Yeah.
And saw themselves on an island rather than seeing themselves as a unit.
Yeah, exactly.
And, and I thought about that. I remember going into, I used to go like Tuesday nights at Cafe Go-Go to see the new band. And I walked in and I went, God, this is the worst band I've ever heard in my life. It was Steve Miller.
Oh, really?
It was Steve Miller's band. And he had just left, what's his name, Barry Goldberg, right?
Yeah.
Blues band.
Yeah.
He's on his own for the first time. But then you figure the determination of him staying together and working on his craft and working on the band proved to work out in his favor.
Oh, it did.
But
absolutely.
Having that place as a showcase or a place, because there's others who said, they were just tremendous. But there are people who just say that because they don't know.
Yeah.
They didn't hear that night.
No.
Yeah.
It's true. It's just, it was such a hayride that we were on. And I'll let Luke talk about it. But the bottom line is it was just so up and down, and being that young, I mean, you got to look at Cream, for instance, like Clapton's career, like he went from the Yardbirds to John Mayall, just walked out on John Mayall, didn't even tell him he was leaving, goes to somewhere over in Europe, and then he joins Cream and then decides, I like the band and I want to leave Cream, who were on the top of the world. So that mentality was going through all musicians at that time.
But the thing about him, he had established himself
as a major
with the Yardbirds.
Oh, absolutely.
And then with the Cream.
Yeah.
And then he could move on.
Oh, absolutely. But that mentality was kind of, I look back on it now, to me it was kind of like everybody was doing that at some point. They just...
Now, the Blues Project played at the Cafe A Go.
Yeah, they were there all the time.
They were there all the time,
yeah.
were they not? Yeah. They would come and see us as well. Now, didn't some of those guys, they started Blood, Sweat, and Tears, did they not?
Well, Mike Bloomfield, I can't...
Danny
Bloomfield,
Kalb and...
yeah, well, it might have been Danny Kalb.
Danny Kalb, I think it was.
Yeah, and then Bobby Columby.
Yeah,
on
that's
drums,
right. I remember
and then Bobby became a major producer and stuff like this.
Oh, yeah.
I hate to wrap this up, but is it tomorrow afternoon, Sunday afternoon?
4 o'clock.
4 to 7.
4 to 7.
Yeah.
And playing? You be playing the tunes?
Yes, we'll be
playing.
We'll be playing some songs and taking some requests, and if we know them, we'll play them, and if we don't, we'll charge you anyway. So,
Luke Gibson, Mike McKenna. It's the Black Swan, 154 Danforth Avenue, and it's from 4 to 7. $10 cash. Man, that really set people back. $10.
Yeah, it's entertainment fee.
It's entertainment fee.
And our we have car payments we have to make. So
yeah,
but thank you, Bill.
Still at this time, huh?
Oh well, we say that. We
no,
don't
it'd be
really
that
mean
seniors fair. That'd be that seniors fair.
Well, we have to be back at the seniors' home by a certain time anyway.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
It's Gloria Martin on Entertainment.
It's Gloria Martin on Entertainment. Welcome in, Gloria.
Well, good day to you, Bill. And award season is upon us. It's torturous for those of us who have had to watch these shows from beginning to end for work for years and years and years. I got to say, it's torture. It really is. And starting out with the Golden Globes this week, oh, man.
That didn't entertain you, right? That wasn't your thing.
I don't know. That host, Gerard Carmichael, I don't know him. But, when the first thing you do is come out on stage and tell everybody to shush, shush, shush and sit down on the step with no energy, it's just like, really? If you can't get the audience's attention, that's not their fault. That's your fault as a host. You didn't grab them. So don't be blaming the people in the audience who are drinking champagne and having a good time.
And saying that I'm getting paid $500,000 for this.
That was really distasteful, wasn't it?
Yeah, I didn't get that. I understand the context, but it's ridiculous, the whole thing.
And I think really the one of the most other offensive things he said was, I'm supposed to thank the venue here at the Beverly Wilshire, the hotel that killed Whitney Houston.
Horrible thing to say.
What awful in every way.
But you know what it was? I had to think about this. It was just a drunken brawl. So it was not, I don't know if you take the award and say thank you or what, but it was one of those situations where everybody showed up.
Well, they usually cut off the bar. In this case, they cut off the food. So people were drinking, but there was nothing to eat. So it was just descending into total chaos.
Was there any moments that stood out for you?
Oh, Jennifer Coolidge stole the show.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for her. She is such a delight. And you can just see she's just so thrilled that her career at a later stage in life is having such a revival. And that's terrific. And also Sean Penn introducing Vladimir Zelensky, who gave a great speech, wrapping it around the awards by saying, in Ukraine, we're fighting to avoid World War III. So your kids will only have to know about war through film and TV. I thought that was just a brilliant way to wrap it around for that audience. That was great.
What about Colin Farrell giving it up for Jenny the donkey?
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I did. Those Irish guys know how to make a speech, don't they? It's always fun. Always fun.
It was.
And I was.
Go ahead.
I was delighted to see the actor Kei Hae Kwan. And he was the kid from Indiana Jones, and he won for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and he was so delighted, and that was a thrill to see him. Because when he said, "Oh," as a young kid, I thought, "Oh, he's the kid from Indiana Jones."
Isn't that great?
Yeah, everybody remembers his performance in that. Fabulous.
Will somebody remind Austin Butler that Elvis is dead?
Yeah, really, you did thank him. Yeah, yeah, there you go.
He was still inhabiting Elvis in his speech.
But, for many people, Elvis is still alive. So I do understand that.
Okay. But he can lose that tone, right?
Yeah. Have you ever seen a film called Bubba Hotep?
No, what is that?
The premise is that Elvis is still alive and he's recuperating in a hospital. And of course, nobody will believe that he's Elvis.
That is good.
It's a crazy, funny film. It really is.
But were you pleased that Steven Spielberg won for Fabelmans?
Well, I haven't seen the film, but I thought they generally spread the awards around quite well. They did honor Spielberg, who, hey, he's Spielberg. Right. And, Banshees of Inisherin and Everything Everywhere All at Once, White Lotus. I mean, the awards were okay. It's just the host.
If you want to rent and see these movies online, Banshees is like $6.99. Fabelmans is $25.
Whoa.
So that's why I haven't caught that or Tar. I want to see both of those, but I don't want to pay $25 just to rent in my living room to see this.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. And you know what it is, too? It's largely because they haven't, brought in any dollars, right? It's not like Avatar where they've brought in over $1 billion or Maverick, Top Gun Maverick, where they brought in $1 billion, right? These are films that are struggling financially.
I think with the Fabelmans, that a part of it is that the advertising campaign, I don't think, has been very good. A lot of people don't know what it's about. They haven't put the feel of the movie out there for people to easily digest and to lure them into really wanting to see it. I don't think they've done a good job on that at all.
Probably not. So what else is going on, Gloria?
I did catch the most popular movie on Netflix this week. It's the Pale Blue Eye, and it's dark, and it's delicious, and it's Edgar Allan Poe. And, because when I was a kid in my father's library, there weren't like little nursery rhymes and stuff. There were like the collected works of Edgar Allan Poe, Oscar Wilde, all these incredible books. So I sort of grew up reading Edgar Allan Poe, and probably at age 10 was, doing Quoth the Raven, Nevermore. So my parents must have thought I was totally out of my brain. But anyway, so I for all my whole life have been an Edgar Allan Poe fan. So here is a Victorian thriller that's all candlelight and shady, foreboding corners with Christian Bale as Detective Augustus Landor, who teams up with a young cadet named Edgar Allan Poe to solve murders at a West Point academy. And Poe is played beautifully by Harry Melling. And the title, The Pale Blue Eye, comes from Poe's The Telltale Heart. Now, it is dark, and it has an incredible twist at the end. And it's also true to some extent because Poe did go to West Point Academy early in his life. And in this film, which is like 1860, he was about 20 years old. And an interesting note that Edgar Allan Poe is widely credited with creating the detective story because his character, who appears in the short story The Murders in the Rue Morgue, is thought to be the very first fictional detective. So there you go. Film also stars Gillian Anderson, Toby Jones, and Lucy Boynton. Great cast. And it is dark, and it's very twisty at the end. And I think we have a clip to play from it so you get a feel for it.
Let's have a listen now.
Is it true you once elicited a confession with nothing more than a piercing look?
With enough patience, the suspect will often interrogate himself.
Detective Landor, one of our cadets. Hanged himself last night.
That's a matter for the coroner.
I'm afraid that's not the end of it. His heart was carved from his chest.
What type of fella could do this?
It'd have to be
a madman. Another cadet is missing.
Poe, I need you to discreetly infiltrate the cadets.
What is this?
Blood, symbols, rituals.
Oh, my lord.
Man will do most anything to cheat death.
Where are the facts? Where are the simple facts? The truth!
I believe the dead haunt us because we love them too little.
We're no closer to finding who's responsible for this than we were a month ago.
I've got to catch this, Gloria. I think I started it, but then I got sidetracked with Lorena del Sur, Queen of the South, the Spanish version.
Oh, yes. Yeah. You really like that, right?
Oh, well, here's the funny side of it. All right. I'm thinking I'm in episode 8, and I'm thinking, probably 2 more to go. Then I looked in the episodes section. There's 45. Oh. For a season. 45. I don't know if I should quit now or what. It just sum this up in my head and invent an ending and step off. Right? 45 episodes.
That's like two days of your life. Think about that.
That's 10 for me. That's so funny.
I found it interesting that another gal from White Lotus, Aubrey Plaza, who we spoke about last week, she's starring in Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis, the sci-fi drama with Adam Driver, Forrest Whitaker, Jon Voight, Lawrence Fishburne, Jason Schwartzman, Shia LaBeouf, and a lot of big names.
Did she score?
Yeah, she's great. But Coppola's passion project, he financed this with the money from selling his wine business. Production is in chaos, apparently. They're currently halfway through shooting in Atlanta. They're way over budget, and they've lost the entire visual effects team in December, and he just fired, apparently, the production designer and the supervising art director. So, wow.
I don't know about this.
And he's got all his own money in this. So, I don't know. It's but the thing about that is, if you think about Apocalypse Now, they said the same thing. The production was in chaos, and they didn't know if it was ever going to get made, and that kind of turned out okay.
Well, The Godfather 2 was the same situation, right?
That's right, that too.
Yeah, it was.
So it's just his style. Yes, The Godfather was also chaotic, and I guess that Francis Ford Coppola, I guess he works best in chaos, which is interesting because Jeff Beck passed away this week, and he said about his music is he liked a little chaos in his music. So the chaos factor is part of creativity, and very interesting.
I think so, and that was a tremendous loss. And you know what? It was bacterial meningitis, which is just unbelievable.
Isn't that scary? Very scary. Yeah, and very, very sudden with him, too. I think he died very quickly.
Yep, and very close friends with Johnny Depp.
Yes, who performed with him on stage at the Meridian Center just last October.
One more thing on this Francis Ford Coppola thing. This is 2023, and if you look at the money makers, they're like Elvis, Top Gun, Avatar, and films like that. And then you look at the others, they're not making money. They're losing money. So it takes a lot worldwide to get these films to step over into the line of profit, right?
Yeah, but I wonder with the way things are viewed these days, if it's just that profit takes a couple of more years to circle back. Because, it's going to be online for a long, long time.
Well, I thought the same thing with West Side Story, right? I thought the international receipts on that would bring it up to cover the $100 million they spent, but it never made it past $75 million, and that's a Spielberg, right? Yeah. So Fableman hasn't made hardly anything yet. Same way with Tar and a couple more of these films that are chosen. Mm-hmm. I think Banshees will do fine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of a surprise that it's that popular, too. They were all very surprised about it. That's great, though.
It didn't cost that much either to make.
That's the thing. Maybe that's the trick these days. Try and make it low budget.
Yeah. What else? Anything else?
Well, one curious thing this week that made me crazy. Of course, a lot of things make me crazy these days, but this is one. It's Where's the Love Gone? There's a $500 million lawsuit by Olivia Hussey and Leonard Whiting, the stars of the 1968 version of Romeo and Juliet. And they are suing Paramount Pictures, alleging that director Franco Zeffirelli pressured them into filming a nude scene for the movie when they were underage.
Right.
And they're suing for sexual harassment, intentional fraud, appropriation of name and likeness, intentional infliction of emotional distress, unfair business practices, and child abuse. Now, Zeffirelli's son has said, well, that's all well and good, but, that was 1968. Zeffirelli died in 2019. But Hussey went on to work with Zeffirelli in the miniseries Jesus of Nazareth that, and participated in hundreds of interviews about the happy memory of their very fortunate experience, which gave them worldwide success. Hussey defended the use of nudity in the film, saying nobody my age had done that before and it was needed for the film. So anyway, I just think, A, that it was so long ago, and B, that there was nothing sexual about that scene. It was just very sweet and innocent. So I don't know.
I see the lawsuit getting tossed real quick.
Seems like it's really overboard.
Yeah, you're kind of late on this one. Well, it all sounds great, Gloria. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay, well, we'll talk soon and have a great week.
You too.
It's Hebsey on Sports.
It's Hebsey on everything. Welcome in, Mark.
New show.
Mark, I was reading this article and it was talking about Toronto being one of the worst congested cities on the planet.
Well, I'm moving out of it, Bill.
I know you are.
I live close to you. You can tell people you're in downtown Toronto.
Yes,
not down in the financial district downtown, but close enough that, we can easily get to any place downtown within half an hour, 20 minutes, walking, public transit, not driving though. If you get in the car, it's going to take you an hour, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is it's so congested that way.
What goes through your mind when you see the news and they show that overhead cam of the city and the sprawl?
Oh my God!
You must think yourself,
Well, the traffic, first of all, I could not, and for those that do commute daily, man, I don't know how you guys do it.
No.
But I found that just doing it in one day, like being involved, like today, where I was on the 404 and Don Valley Parkway for the better part of an hour in horrible weather and not even barely moving. I could not imagine doing that ever again, much less tomorrow.
Was that a part of your life at one time?
Never. I never worked 9 to 5 or 7 to 3 or whatever. No, never involved. So for me, it's horrible, and I don't know how you do it. I don't know how people do it.
Either.
I don't know. So I'm moving, out of the city, and I found that the commuter train, the GO train, is so worth it. That from up there,
it's a nice ride too.
It's a great ride from up there. It's 52 minutes, I think, to where I want to go. 52 minutes to Union Station, and Union Station now is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
It's beautiful. It's so easy now to get off the train and on the subway, or grab a cab, or walk to where you need to go, or it really is easy that way. When you're in the city, it's harder now.
The train is your time.
The GO train's great. They don't run often enough. It's on the hour basically out of Union Station if you're going up that Stouffville line, which is it takes you to Kennedy, where the subway station ends, where the line 2 ends at the east end is Kennedy. And so from there, there's a nice new platform they've put together, and it's if you want to take the subway across to get there. And then from there, it's Milliken, Centennial, Agent Court. I got it in the wrong order. Markham, up there to up, not as far as Stouffville, almost to Stouffville, a place called Mount Joy, which is Markham Road and Major Mackenzie. And so it's a nice train ride. You got Wi-Fi, nice bathrooms if you need to go to the bathroom. Rarely is it fully crowded. I mean, I don't go during rush hour. I'm sure it is during rush hour. Yeah. I go a little off hours. And so that's, I got to get out of the city. It's just too crowded. Bill, last week alone, I almost got hit as a pedestrian, almost got hit as a cyclist, saw a cyclist do a complete full, had to stop and over the bars and over top of a car right in front of me.
No.
Guy stopped short and just, oh my God. But at the same time, the cyclist was being kind of reckless. Right? And it was one of those moments where you see that and you go, this is not going to be good.
Don't make that
Something's
move.
going to happen here with this cyclist, where either he's going to go down or something's going to happen. You could just sort of tell, right? One of those, weaving, and also the type of cyclist that has disregard for pedestrians too. I don't like cyclists like that. Too aggressive in the city of Toronto. Something bad's going to happen, and it did. And this guy went ass over a tea kettle. I got to get out of town. I kind of it could happen to me.
My philosophy: 52 years of urban cycling. Stay out of the way.
Yeah,
that's just it.
But also, as a pedestrian,
you
got to be careful.
Worst news this week was the passing of Jeff Beck.
Yeah, Jeff Beck was not the healthiest guy in the world. 78.
Yeah, but he was like a vegetarian. He took it.
I get that.
It was bacterial meningitis.
I get that.
Okay, so this came on out of nowhere.
Right.
And I was talking to a friend of mine, Les Kadar, and he contacted it. And he said it was a hellish disease. And thanks to a quick-minded doctor in the emergency room, they diagnosed it quickly. But it goes misdiagnosed as a flu many times. And if you don't get on it immediately, you will die.
Yeah.
And this is what happened to him. And you can get it through an ear infection. Well, I'm just thinking about,
Listen, here's the way I look at it. Okay, Jeff Beck was a great guitarist. When Jimmy Page passes, it's going to be awful. When Robert Plant passes, it's going to be awful. When, and all these people are getting to ages where we shouldn't be surprised, shocked. It's just going to happen more and more. Like, think about this. Like, think about the other day, what was Elvis's birthday? Whatever it was, it's the same birthday as about 8 or 10 other big stars, big name stars. Well, we've reached the stage now where every day someone is going to die. Someone we know, someone we grew up with, popular culture, whatever it was, recognizable people. And as time goes on, multiple people, famous people, are going to pass away on the same day, in the same week.
Of course.
And it's all going to, the only way we're going to remember this is that when the 1-year anniversary or 10-year anniversary comes and someone on Twitter posts, hey, this was the day that blank, born on this day, da-da-da. So this is now how we remember people. It happens so often. And as much as I loved Jeff Beck, right? I just, I can't shed a tear every day when someone that I grew up admiring passes away. I like reading the obituary. I like I hate to say this, well-written obituary by someone who knew. So I'll be interested to read the best Jeff Beck obituary. But somewhere somebody I know had already compiled lots of Jeff Beck stuff for the day that Jeff Beck died. This is what we do.
There was a lot online, boy.
In the news industry, this is what you do.
One of my best friends, a great photographer, well-known everywhere, he read the obituaries, New York Times, every day because he loved reading because they're like a book, right?
Yeah.
And he always wanted to be there.
You know what I wrote years ago? I wrote a screenplay. Still hasn't finished. I'm about 150 pages into it, and it's about a character who goes to funerals of people that he doesn't know. Initially, he did it because he wanted to. This is weird that I'm even mentioning this to you. Initially, the idea was he went because he was curious, even though he didn't know the person, and he wanted food. You'd get free food always when you went to a funeral. There was always like food. Right. So you could, and no one would ask you, hey, who do you know? You could just make it up. No one's going to question you at the door, for example, at a funeral. Oh, I knew the deceased. How did you know the deceased? Well, back we were, whatever. Okay, and get in. So that was the premise of it. But I always found it fascinating because even though I never met these people or knew of them, when I read a good, obit, or I hear a good eulogy, for example, I go, wow, I kind of would like to have known the person. And I'm glad that I know the person now. Like, you know what? Yeah, wow. What an interesting. So yeah, it's kind of like reading, I guess it's like reading a biography of someone who's deceased, but just a condensed kind of version of their biography. Yeah, like, there it is.
But you want it well written.
Globe and Mail always had good obituaries.
Oh, they're very good.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think being an obituary writer, and here's the fact, you didn't have this person, here's what you've gleaned. Go ahead. Like, you went to the funeral home's website and read maybe some of the comments. I don't know, but that would be interesting.
My friend Kerry Dool, who writes for FYI, he's the basic editor of it. Yeah. He was the last few weeks, he goes, I am so overwhelmed with obits. And it was, because you had...
Well, again, some you've forgotten. I forget who it was who 3 days ago when I heard they passed away. Oh, my God, and started listening to their music. Or looking for their routine on...
Like Shirley Eichhardt.
On YouTube. There you go.
We talked about that.
Right. So, and now just go to YouTube. Like, go to YouTube. There's, believe me, it's been produced already. It's just waiting
all set.
It's just waiting to, they passed away. Oh, really? Yeah, have we got the, yes, we do. Click. There it is.
I don't want to miss this. I want to make sure we get this in. The big football weekend coming up. This is a great one.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm paying attention to the Bills against the Dolphins, who are starting, a quarterback who I've never heard of before. And so this should be an easy win for the Buffalo Bills. But you never know. You just never know what happens.
Nope.
But yeah, I'm a bit, I don't know who the Bills, if they make it to the AFC final, which they should, where they're going to play that game. It's not going to be in Buffalo. It's not going to be in Kansas City. It's not going to be in Indianapolis. They've got something going there. But this is the problem that the NFL, had. You want to squeeze 17 weeks of football into 18 actual weeks. This is what you get, unfortunately, for them.
This was online. It was kind of like a rundown of the top 5 and where they finish. And the ranking was the Bills number 5, Bengals 4, Philadelphia 3, the Chiefs 2, San Francisco number 1.
Okay.
I think there's something in the San Francisco thing.
Of course there is.
It's the real sleeper.
Of course there is. They'll beat Seattle easily. And, I don't think there's so much of a sleeper. They're a good team.
Yeah.
And I think defense doesn't slump, Bill.
No.
It's an expression they have. You got a good defense, that's going to carry you a lot. You got more takeaways than giveaways. Hey, but I think defense is, always wins championships. You could have a quarterback that can throw 7 touchdown passes, but if your defense is giving up 8 TD, right? And so that's what worries me about the Bills is they've lost Von Miller, the best rush end in the game.
Yep.
They lost Hoyer earlier this year was it Hoyer or the other? Oh, I can't remember. But anyway, and they gave up a lot of points. They can give up a lot of points, but they can score a lot too. And that's, most people want to see offensive-minded football. But the beauty of that is that now, late in the game, teams can blow leads. Teams can come back.
Yes, they can.
There's always that possibility, and I think that's what makes sports great.
Well, that was great with Bills in Kansas City last year.
Yeah,
those were
exactly.
exciting.
But that's what makes sports great is that you go, uh-oh. And then there's games like the college football championship that was a blow, where you're going, oh my God, this isn't going to be one of those games. You want back and forth and back and forth, and again, you're never out of it. The Raptors down by 21, boom, come back and win. Yeah. Never say never. Teams down by, how many runs did the Jays have? How big a lead did they blow? I mean, this is what makes sports great.
Quick, Raptors, when they began this season, it was Coloco, Precious, and Chris Boucher, the second line.
Yeah.
They were back. It makes a difference. And that's why they won early on in the season.
Oh, I think so, definitely. Yeah. But it all goes to show you that guys have got to be healthy and to be in sync. And once you're out of rhythm, once you start saying how many times have your key players all been on the floor together, and that's a familiar cry with a lot of teams, but it's the teams that stay healthy. That's the ones. Those are the ones that's where the depth comes in, is you can plug in a guy. Next man up. Do the Raptors have that?
We'll find out. Before we go, baseball, another addition to the Jays.
Brandon Belt.
Yeah.
Left-handed bat. You've now got a lot of balance in the lineup because Brandon Belt essentially takes over for Teoscar Hernandez in the power hitting department. He won't get as many bats as Teoscar got last year, but he's a force. He's a good ball player. If he's recovered from his knee injury, then you're talking about wow. You're talking about a really nicely balanced lineup now. He's a left-handed power hitter and can spell Vladdy at first base. A pretty good first baseman, too.
I think folks are happy now.
Well, again, you always want more pitching.
Yeah.
But, looking forward to this season for sure.
Mark, thanks for everything.
Thanks, Bill.
Great stuff. We were having this conversation about relatives, friends, how they age over time.
Yes.
Some thoughts?
Yeah, I'm looking at my grandfather, my grandmother. So those would be my great aunts, and wow, if you look at photos from them even 20 years ago, they look fantastic. It's all about how, they've been through illnesses and
that transformation.
But you know what? It's all about the resiliency and how you recover. Take care of yourself moving forward and how you prioritize your health. And my grandfather, he's had a few setbacks with his illnesses, but he's going to be 80 soon. He's still working every day and keeps going, and gave up some smoking habit that completely transformed his health and well-being. Yeah, so he's still going along, and it's it's like, this is how I model how I want to age, and just to keep working and to keep going.
This is my philosophy.
Yeah.
I think of like Dr. Anthony Fauci, and I think of or Nancy Pelosi. Those are great examples, 80, 82 and up, how they just keep going. Mm-hmm. And it's about finding things of interest. And this is why a lot of people, after they've done maybe 30 years or so in just doing a standard job just to pass the time, make the income, and they feel pretty set, they go back and do the things that they've always dreamt of doing. They buy a guitar. I'm always fascinated why people want to paint. Everybody paints, right? They get an easel, they get a big stack of paints, and they just start painting everything. And it's kind of primal in a way that you find yourself stepping back and doing these things.
And you know what? I think at that time you allow yourself the time to do it. Because even in my 20s, I didn't spend enough time on the things I enjoyed or the hobbies. It's always like, oh, you got to work, focus on your career, this, and this. Occasional travel here and there. It was like a luxury, I guess, with my mindset, like to focus on sewing or handicrafts and this and that. But now that I'm approaching 40, I'm prioritizing all those things that, especially the arts, that bring me lots of joy, and that's helps me retain my youth and my vitality, mental health, and all those types of things that play a role in illness. And so you're staving off all those things for the most part, hopefully.
The thing they recommend the most is travel.
Yeah.
To always expand your horizons, and travel is the way to do it.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to do some traveling.
And of course, my parents, that's all they did.
Yeah.
They just went to Florida, and they stayed in the swamp in the Everglades for 25 years.
Yeah.
And then Dad was 89 when he passed, and Mom was like 91. But they had all their faculties. But they made that trip, and they lived in that camp. They fished every day. They were out in that alligator-infested, mosquito-bugging place, and they loved every moment of it.
Yeah. It's the wilderness and being out.
Yeah.
And just the open air and freedom and just not a care in the world. Oh,
they
that's
like
wonderful.
That. Yeah, well, they sort of planned for that. But what used to kill me as kids, we get, even with Christine, being of a certain age, it's always about who's dropping off, right? And so you go there and they go, Brother Bob has a brain tumor. And you go, oh my God, we just got here. Can we just get a hug?
I'll give you all the bad news now.
Well, you know what it was with the older folks.
Yeah.
You're the young girl coming home, and the grandparents are there, or of a certain kind, and it's not the great news. No. I mean, they're glad to hear you, but they want you to catch up on the melodies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and every little melody too. I get that from my mom.
How's that going?
Oh Lord. Well, she's a little bit of a hypochondriac. I don't think I'll make sure she doesn't listen to this particular show, but yeah, I'm just teasing. But no, she's very much on top of her health. So she takes every single precaution possible. But if she isn't feeling well, if she has a headache, we're going to hear about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it might be fatal.
It's to be shared.
It's to be shared.
With the daughter.
Yes. I was like, okay, Mom, don't go off the rails just yet. Take an aspirin, have a little chamomile tea, see what you're like in an hour.
I feel good.
I feel good.
Let's say goodbye.
Oh, is that time already, Bill?
Yes. We have to move on.
Okay.
There's other shows on this station,
That is true. In fact, Phil's In is coming up next.
You know this stuff.
I do.
And we're still giving away that tickets to Lloyd Thompson Hall.
Yep. So send off to Jessica at CIUT.FM for your chance to win, and just type in Dr. Brian Green tickets. And whoever's the first one gets that pair of tickets. Mm-hmm.
It's Bill King's Show with Jessica Bellamy, Gloria Martin, and Mark Hebscher. We'll catch you next week. thank you for all who tuned in to Bill King Show. We'll catch you on the other side.